Hello friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I want to show you what to do when you have an abundance of vegetables freshly picked from your garden. Look at this. I've got so many different cucumbers and zucchinis and green beans and yellow beans, just an abundance. So it is wonderful to eat fresh when it's in season. It's good for us. I'm blessed to grow it in my backyard. But if you don't have a backyard and you're unable to do it, there's always CSA where you can sign up and support local farms and yet eat organic, fresh vegetables. And I'm gonna eat them. They're wonderful in salads as an addition to any kind of dish. It's great. Some of them are way overgrown. Look at that. Hello. So the big one's definitely going in the salad, but these little ones are perfect for preserving. Now, preservation is often associated directly to canning, and making pickles in vinegar and can it away for the winter months is wonderful, right? But that is losing a lot of very important nutritious aspects of cucumbers when we preserve it in vinegar and we store it away that way. We can always preserve vegetables in fermentation, the old traditional way, before we had vinegar. So fermentation is a great way to preserve it because we can have natural lacto-fermented probiotics that are great for our gut health, for the immune system, but also because it preserves all of the vitamins and minerals that are in the vegetable. You can preserve any vegetable you like. So today I'm going to show you how to ferment pickles. And fermentation takes a few days, okay? Depends on the temperature of the environment. Right now it's July, it's very hot, very humid. So for me, it's probably gonna take about 3, maybe 4, maybe even 5 days. It depends how strong fermentation you want. And after that, we can store it in the fridge where fermentation in the cold temperatures will slow down or stop altogether. Or you can store it in a cool place such as a root cellar if you have one. I don't have one. Or a basement, somewhere where it's nice and cool, basically. But you can also preserve it for winter. Yes, for winter, for a long-term storage. And I will show you that at the end of this video. But for now, let's do fermentation. Okay friends, let me show you what you will need for today's fermentation. So obviously you're gonna need your vegetables. I already washed them. I am not cutting any ends of it. I'm gonna keep them whole just like this. But if you choose to cut them, just remember fermentation will be much faster. Also, I'm gonna need salt. Salt I'm using is a pink Himalayan salt. But you can use any salt you want for pickling except for non-iodized salt. So you can use rock salt, sea salt, pickling salt, not table salt, because table salt is usually has iodine and it will not work for pickling. Also, you're gonna need clean water. Okay, you're gonna need clean water. I have some clean water here, non-chlorinated clean water, because chlorination will mess up with the fermentation process and not allow bacteria to grow. Then we're gonna need some aromatics. I have some bay leaves, and for my big container, this is a 3-liter container I'm using. I'm gonna be using 3 bay leaves, about 15 peppercorns. I really didn't count them, but they look about 15. I'm gonna use about 5 or 6 of juniper berries. About 10, I'm guessing, I didn't count, about 10 garlic cloves, but remember that too much of garlic, it will make your vegetables soft. It will not make them nice and crispy. Even though, let me tell you, fermented garlic is absolutely delicious. It loses that pungent taste and it becomes very mild, and it's a wonderful natural antibiotic that God given to us. Now, because we like our pickles a little spicy, you can add some hot pepper, like whatever hot pepper you have. I don't have any fresh hot pepper, so I'm going to be using a little bit of red hot pepper flakes, just very little, again, because we don't like it too spicy, but a little spice is good. Now, what makes our vegetables nice and crisp when we are fermenting them? We're gonna need some tannins. Tannins it's a chemical that comes from certain green vegetables, green leaves per se. So this is a black currant leaves that I have gathered in my backyard. This is cherry leaves, nicely washed. I have horseradish leaf. Look at this beautiful stalk. If you don't have horseradish leaf, you can always use horseradish root. Then I have my dill, and look at this beautiful dill. Now, I'm not talking about the dill ferns. I'm talking about the dill crowns. That's what you really need. And it's a perfect time right now because it's the pickling season and they are in crown. So I'm going to be using their stalks and their crowns. In case you don't have crowns, you can always use dried dill seeds if that's what you have. Okay, what if you don't have any of these leaves that I mentioned? Black currant or cherry leaves. What are you going to do? Well, you can always use oak leaves. Now, I didn't feel like climbing up the tree and getting any fresh oak leaves, but you can use that. And worst comes to worst, you can even try to use some black tea. Black tea bags have tannins in it, and you can even try using that. I personally don't use it because I have a plethora of tannins. But in case you don't have anything at all, you can always use any green leafy edible vegetable you have from a garden. You can use kale leaves, cabbage leaves. I have some purple cabbage that I can use these leaves as well. Okay, so let's start by making a brine. And a brine is the most important component that we need. So here is my brine that I just made. I took a quart of cold water from my well, and for 1 quart of water, I have 2 tablespoons, and see how there's a little hill to it, I'll shake it off. 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons to 1 quart of water. And I made 2 quarts of this brine right now, simply because I may need more than just one after I fill up my container full of vegetables. So the brine is made separately, and I made it and let it sit and dissolve while I fill up my container with vegetables. Okay, so let's start doing that. On the bottom, I'm gonna throw some of my greens, like a nice base. Okay, a little bit of horseradish, a little bit of cherry, few black currant leaves, some dill. Let me break off some dill crowns and some stalks. Notice how I'm not measuring anything. So basically it's what you like. Okay, it's what you like. Then I'm gonna throw some garlic. I'm gonna throw a little bit of garlic. Maybe, I don't know, 3 pieces on the bottom, 1 bay leaf, some peppercorns, some juniper berries. In my language, juniper berries is actually called duszysty perec, means duszysty smells good. And then just a little, not much, okay, of hot peppercorn flakes. So that's what's gonna go in the bottom. And then I'm gonna start adding my pickles. Now the rule of thumb is bigger ones always go to the bottom and they always stand up. Okay, they're gonna be standing in the bottom, and then the little ones will always go to the top, and they're usually already situated differently. And you know, as a kid, I always remember asking Mama why she did it that way. And she used to say to me, well, because my dear, we don't have patience. You know, patience is a virtue. And because the bigger ones take a while to ferment, but the little ones will be quicker and we can eat them faster from the top. Yeah, Mama always had stories for me about everything. So I'm putting the bigger ones on the bottom and I'm standing them up. So let's see what happens here. So one time Mama and I took a trip to a different city to visit a family, and the trip was on a train that took us over 24, I think it was like 26 hours on a train. And the train made a lot of stops, and the stops sometimes were as long as 15-20 minutes. So for people to, you know, exit the train and the new people to enter the train. But in the meanwhile, it gave us a chance to jump out of the train, go and quickly buy some food or drink or something like that, because the road was long. Okay, so I just filled up the bottom, standing them all up. And now it's like lasagna, you need to layer with other things. So I'm gonna be putting more horseradish, okay? I'm gonna put more of that big guy. I'm gonna put more dill. And I'm gonna put some stalks in there as well. And I just fold them up like that. Not a big deal, doesn't matter. Throw some more garlic, some more peppercorns, okay? Again, just a little bit of red pepper flakes. I have my black currant, a couple of more of my cherry leaves. Okay, and keep filling this up. So I remember telling my mama how tired and bored I was on a train, but she used to teach me to enjoy the ride. Enjoy what you see now and don't always worry about and be impatient about what's coming, because you're going to be missing what's in the front of you now. She was right. I remember being on the train and the ride was so long and the train was so soft in its ride. It's kind of like put you to sleep. But that gave me a chance to see the whole country. Well, not the whole country, but a big portion of the country as we travel, because when you're looking outside the window, you see so much. See, if we took an airplane ride, I would miss all of that. And I would never see all of the wonderful things that I saw on a trip by being on a train. Yes, it took us longer, but it gave me a chance to see so much. So I just remember her teaching me that, you know, if we don't appreciate what we have in front of us now, we will never appreciate what's ahead. So I'm gonna again put more leaves, keep it nice and crispy, everything. I'm gonna be putting more dill and just push it on the sides. Okay, push it on the sides. Let me tell you that my whole kitchen already smells like dill. Already smells like pickles. Brings me all these wonderful memories of my childhood. I'm gonna throw more of all of my other spices right on top. Okay, they're all in here. Let's see, maybe I can push a few more dill stalks inside. Okay, now let me finish up with a few more cucumbers. I saved the little ones for the top. And notice how I'm pushing them. Guess what's going to happen? These pickles are going to lose some of its moisture and it's going to leak out, seep out into the brine, because the brine is salty, right? And water always follows the salt, right? Osmosis, kids, you know osmosis? All right, so these cucumbers will actually shrink and it will be a whole lot more space for them in short little while. All right, I think I may be done. I'll put one more. Okay, one more. Okay, let's see. All right, that's it. I'm done. So at this point, let me just finish up everything I have here. At this point, I'm gonna be pouring over my brine, okay? And all of the vegetables have to be covered with brine. It didn't dissolve all the way, sorry. Shake everything around. So it's very important that all of the vegetables are covered with brine. So see how 1 quart that I made I'm only filled up to the half. So I'm going to add more brine. All right, let's see if it takes the entire quart. And almost does. So I'm pouring more because I want to make sure that all of my vegetables are covered. So it almost took 2 quarts, almost. But now with the remainder horseradish leaf, now if you don't have it, you can always use some sort of a cabbage or kale or something like that. You want to put this on top to cover. So if a little bit leaks out, don't worry about it. It's quite normal. I'm going to push this all in to make sure that everything is covered and no cucumbers ever exposed to the air, because we want to make sure that there is no bad bacteria decides to grow anywhere. So it's going to be completely covered. Now listen, I'm not done yet. And I'm going to rest this jar of pickles in the plate, because remember, this cucumbers will give out a little bit of moisture, a little bit of liquid, and there will be more liquid inside of here, and eventually you might see some leakage out, and you don't want a leakage on your counter. Okay, so there are some fancy wrapping covers, and those are great. Those are wonderful. It takes all the thinking and all the work out of it. I don't have that, so I'm just gonna take a regular plate and put a cover on. And I'm going to let this sit and rest on the counter in my kitchen in a room temperature for several days. You're going to start seeing some bubbles. So every day I will check on it, I will tap on it, and the bubbles are running up. You will notice that at the top, make sure that everything is also covered, but you'll notice that at the top there will be some bubbles forming. Guess what? Fermentation is happening. It's great. It's wonderful. That's what you're looking for. You may even see a little bit of white film on top, almost like a yeasty smell film. It's perfect. You pretty much are looking for the bubbles to stop. When the bubbles stop, that's when fermentation is done and you are ready to eat. Sometimes on the 3rd day, we are so anxious, we start eating little ones at the top because they fermented faster than the big ones on the bottom, just like my mama used to say. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like after they've been fermenting for, I think, 4 days on my counter. I put them in a fridge to stop the fermentation because it reached the perfect situation of fermentation. And we already ate the big jar, and that's all that's left, pretty much. Only, I don't know, few pickles. The brine got a little cloudy in the bottom. It's quite normal. I threw away all of the green leaves and dill and all of that. I threw it away. We no longer need it. So let me show you what it looks like after they've been fermenting for all of that time. Okay, and they, oh my gosh, smells so good. The brine smells so good. It's absolutely wonderful. So let me show you. So good. It's crunchy, it's salty just enough, it's fermented just enough. I shouldn't be talking with my mouth full, sorry. Real pickles, without vinegar, perfect, delicious. So they've been fermenting on my counter in a hot weather day for about 4 days, and then I put them in the fridge. But I also have put away some for the winter months, okay? And that's the little bit different process. When I strained the brine out and I boiled it for several minutes, and then I poured it back into my jars and I stored it away for the winter. So let me show you how that's done. Okay friends, so I have turned them upside down, put them on my counter, and I am going to wrap them up to keep them warm, just like this. And I'm going to let them sit on my counter until they completely cooled off. So that usually takes about 24 hours at that point, because here they are. I'm going to put a couple of jars away, okay? And there's a little cloudy stuff on the bottom. It's very normal, but this will stay in my my shelf, cool place on the bottom somewhere on my shelf for a long time. And I will enjoy these pickles in the winter as well, and they're going to be so delicious. So, friends, I hope you're encouraged, and I hope you try something new. Pickling in a fermentation process without vinegar.